ton of stuff to talk about today. Everybody grab your coffee. This is a big one. I'm not gonna make it too long, but it's a big one. I know some people came up to me at the last festival about joining in on the Mojo challenges, and I finally have a new one for you. A lot of people didn't like the silk hankies, and that's why it's a challenge. Sometimes it's a challenge. So, I know Instagram keeps telling me, hang on, we're telling more people. But you know what? I'm going to make this live for 24 hours, and then I'm going to post to YouTube. So, I'm just going to kind of get it started. So, good morning, everybody. We are going to talk about the new Mojo challenge. So, I really like this one. And I've done this as a challenge before, and I've done it as a spin along, knit along with groups more than once. I don't even know how many times I've worked on this project, whether I've finished something or just worked on it with other people. And I'm going to be filming this in 3 different parts. So today is just going to be the first part, next week the next part, and then the next part. This week we're going to be talking about the next challenge and going to be using fiber to pick it out. The one after next week, no, not after next week, just next week, we're going to be going over hand spun. And since next week is Thanksgiving here in America, I probably won't be doing this on Thursday. And so it'll be a different day. Not sure which day, but I still want to make sure to do a video next week. And then the week after that, we're going to talk about doing this and using like a commercial hand-painted yarn. So this is all about hand paint, and I'm not making you do silk again. What we're gonna do, and you might be able to tell by the girl behind me, my friend back there, is wearing my favorite sweater that I've ever made in this style. What we're gonna talk about is the Less is More sweater. We are gonna work on another Less is More sweater. However, I'm also gonna do it in a weaving thing, and I'm gonna make up a weaving draft to share with people. So, I wanna show you the sweaters. If you don't know them already. Does everybody not know them? They've been around a long time. And it was a pattern that I did for Knitty a long time ago. And this was it. And you can kind of, it almost looks like maybe it's a yarn all by itself, or, you know, just something that did this, but it didn't. It was 4 different yarns that were hand spun. And I just sort of rifled through my stash. So you can see there's clearly one here, but it fades into, there's one here, which faded into this one here, and finally this one up here. But it's a nice fade in. It's a nice way to do hand spinning for a sweater, because you don't have to do 2 pounds of one color. You can do a whole bunch of different bits and make them into a sweater and make it look all like it was one yarn. So if you're one of those people that gets really bored doing 2 pounds of yarn all in one color, this is what it does. This helps even out the playing field. You can make a sweater. So we're gonna make a sweater. This is the other one that I did that was in the pattern on Knitty, which I will link when I get this loaded to YouTube. And you can see that it doesn't flow quite as well as the hand spun, but it still, you know, flows pretty well, so that it might be one yarn that does this. But this was done with commercial hand paint, so not hand spun at all, just so you can see that it's done. This will be the 3rd installment of this video. I'll show you how to do this. But this is the last one I did out of hand spun, but also my favorite. And this I ended up doing 5 different colors. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The thing is, the bottom one and the top one only got a little bit of play in it. So I don't really like using the 5 colors as much, unless there's one color that I want just a teensy bit of it. But here's what I did. I went all throughout the shop and I was searching and searching, and I looked, and I'm going to show you how to match up your colors. I said so in the Less is More pattern on Knitty, but I thought it might be neat if I did it in a video. And I pulled half of the fiber out of the shop, and just to put it up so you guys can see it. And I'm doing kits, but I'll talk about that later. Just to make it easy for you, I'm doing kits, but I want to show you how it's done. So, this is my first basket. I was looking, do I want a warm colored one? And so I started going through things, and I'm just looking at warm colors. Warm colors. What do I want for warm colors? And I have started to not just want to move from one color to another. I want to do a dark to light, because when I did that on this one, I really loved it. So that's what I kind of was basing everything on. So I put all of the warm colors together in a basket and started looking through and started trying to weed through. And all you need is one color to match up. So this one really doesn't have a color that kind of combines with any of them. So that goes back in the basket. But this one could transition into this one. And the reason being is this color right here. You can see the purples in these go really well. But it also goes with this one. So I could choose any one of these to be the next one. And this is what I chose, so that it's a little bit different, because we're going to do some transitions anyway. So there'll be blendy spots because of these purples, and then there'll be different spots because they're not exactly alike. And then I was looking, so I don't want to keep blending that same color. This one only has 2 colors. So the next blended color I want to choose is the orange. So this one has a better orange than this other one, which is mostly yellow. So then I'm left, I don't want to use orange again as my blending color. I can use the gold, the brown, or any of this lighter, let's see, the lighter yellow bits. And that's what I searched and chose through and did that. So that is my blending set in the warm colors that I've chosen. So it goes from a darker color to the lighter color, and that's exactly what I wanted. And that's my warm color set. Like I said, I made kits for y'all so that you don't have to do this searching if you don't want to. I think it's fun to kind of throw out the whole stash and kind of start picking and grabbing and which colors go together. I'll do some wilder ones just so that you can see how they go together, but my kits are all that I put up. It's already up if you want to go search through. My kits are all going to be dark to light, and they're all going to stay in a color family. I think that's an easy way to do your first one if you haven't done one before. The wilder ones are kind of cool though too. So that's our light set. And then I was searching through green, and honestly, I didn't have a lot of green. And green's my favorite color, so that's a little sad. I was just pulling, and this is all I had for green. And luckily, it all works. So these are the green set. And can you see how it goes through? You know, I've got my dark greens in here and some brown, and it matches up with the greens and browns in here. But there's also pops of brighter green and maybe a little tiny bit of yellow in this, which match up with this one. And then this bright green with a little bit of white matches up with this one. You see how we're going from one da 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 da. All right. So then I got into the blues and purples. If I can do this without spilling. There we go. There's a little bit more color variation here in the blues and purples that you can see. Okay. So once again, I'm pulling through and looking through them all, and you can come up with a whole bunch of different color combinations. And all you need to do is keep going, finding the blues that match. So I can keep telling you and going through each of these. And maybe I should just real quickly so you can see the ones that I've chosen and why I've chosen them. And then I'm going to kind of slow down and do some more fiber color picks. So this is the colors I chose. Again, dark to a lighter color. And you see it goes from the deeper blues, maybe a little bit of green in here, the deeper blues, into the slightly paler blues, into the more paler blues with a little bit of brown. So there's that one. I'm going to retain that one because this one, I chose to go with this, and then this, and then this. And there's some new colors in here. I started dyeing colors, new ones, because I just kept getting excited. Ooh, what about this color? Ooh, what about that color? So this is the Going Very Good colorway that I came up with for that. And then I came up with the one that I'm going to use. I had thrown out all of these neutrals and dyed a whole bunch more neutrals. I don't have, well, I have a neutral sweater. And everybody makes fun of me because it's the only sweater I wear, but it's neutral. I know that I don't have to match my outfit. I can just grab it and go. Okay, my outfits are usually black with jeans, so that excuse doesn't fly, but I'm making myself another neutral sweater. I don't know why. It just works because I have all of my accessories are bright and loud, and this helps. So again, I'm looking into the dark and light. So there's my darkest one. So that's going to be my first one to choose. And then I was trying to figure out between these two. And I wanted a little bit of green because I love green. And so I figured if there was a tiny bit of green, it wasn't going to screw up my my neutral. So I chose this one to go with it. See, I'm getting a little bit lighter, but you can see the blacks and browns are mirrored in here in the blacks and browns. And then the next one, I mean, I could go with just straight up brown there, but I found this one in my stash that had browns and grays, and there's green. Sometimes when they're braided, the colors are kind of hidden a little bit, but there's green in this one. So the greens and browns transferred from this one into this one. And then I was trying to decide, I mean, I could almost choose that one to go with it because it's different enough that it'll still look like a different one. That's one of the keys. You want it to look the same enough that it doesn't look like, I changed colors, but you want it to look different enough that if you're thinking about it, oh, she changed colors. There's a different color coming in there. I don't really like this one. I mean, I like it. It's called Standing Stones, and it's a good enough colorway. It just wasn't the right transition for me. And so, and I wanted it a lot lighter at the top. I came up with that one. This is called Ghosted. So we have Ghosted, Estuary, Woodsy Walk, and Little Goat. This is my color combo. So this is what you'll see me talking about and spinning, other than spinning club, over the next few weeks. So this is what I will be working on. So now let's talk about maybe some crazier colors and getting some other colors in there. So let's do this one. And I can look at this and see I have some brown in here. And that brown looks a lot like this brown. So these would match. You see the browns match. And it also matches with this one because of the greens that are in it. And it matches with this one because of this blue right here. So these blue bits there will match with these blue bits. And it matches with this one because of the green bits. Can you see that? So if I was going to do a wilder one and not stick to the green, and I wanted wild, so the green went because I'm not sticking to the green. This is going to go because I'm thinking a little bit more wild. I'm going to hang on to these two color choices. So this is the color I've chosen as my first piece, and I can see all the little bits of colors that are in it. So do I want to go with this one, or do I want to go with this one? So then we start looking at maybe some of the other colors that are available to us. And let's see, there's this one, which is rather nice. Can you see? It's got some of the purples and browns and gray popping through, which would go pretty well with this one. So if I look at that, you can see there's some grays in this one and grays in this one. And while the purple doesn't exactly match, it does come pretty close in these right here. So in these lightly purpley bits, oh, there's some blending of the pink and the bluey purple there. So it'll match up pretty good. So I've now discarded this one because this goes with it. I found one that I like that goes with this one. And now I just need to find one more. This one brought it a little bit too tame. The other thing I can do, since this one matched this one, I can bring it to this side. See how that pops it up? You go on from a deeper, darker purple into this one that has a lot of colors. This one has quite a few colors with the yellows, greens, and blues. And then you're bringing it a lot brighter into this other one. And I can probably spend my whole day. Okay, so I did spend my whole day a couple days ago. Really just kind of, I tossed out all my fiber stuff. I was looking through all my stash. Tossed all that out. I grabbed a big bucket of the stuff. Okay, this isn't a sweater's worth. Basically, I buy a lot of fiber in sweater's worth. So when I do that, I don't want to break it out into one of these. So if I've got 48 ounces maybe, I pull that. So I pulled all the ones that I really liked that I thought would do great as a combo. And I'm just looking at them. I got all these fibers all around me, and I do right now, but I separated them out for you guys. So I just pull colors, and then sit on the floor and just start matching them up, just like I did here. This one has this in it, so which ones match it? And then kind of sit there and go, which ones match these other ones? And then start slowly, a form starts happening, and you start going, okay, this kind of matches, and this I kind of like, this I kind of don't as much. But in this one, I ended up using the two that I liked the best anyway. And if I needed a third or a fifth color, I might go into something dark over here, or I might bring it into something else entirely. There's other stuff in the bucket. Let's see. I mean, I've got this. Oh, this would be nice with that too. Bring it a lot brighter, but I could go into this. So you can see, and this may be the hardest part, is that you go and start second guessing. Oh, maybe I'll do that one instead. No, maybe that one fits there. Maybe that fits like that. Maybe I'll do that. No, we're back to the beginning. So it's just sitting with your colors. This is the funnest part of the challenge. Just sit with your colors. Just enjoy the stash that you have. You can buy the kit that I've already set up, and you can buy it in 3 different sizes. So I did show you the 3 different colors here, but you should go to the website and look at the colors, because I did take pictures and set them all up. And there's 5 different colorways I put together, and they really are just dark to light, and nothing like really kind of crazy in there. There's the warms, the cools, the greens, the neutral sets. So you could do a set just like I'm doing, and I'll dye it in the amount that you want. But the fun part too is going through your stash. You might not need a whole bunch of fiber. You might need a filler piece. It might be that you have this set here and you really love it, and this is what you want to use, but these don't transition well together. So you need to find a piece that goes in between. So if that happens, you can always message me and I'll try to help you find something that goes in between, or you can use it as an opportunity to go shopping. It's always good to go shopping. But this is the idea. We're gonna make a sweater, or at least a sweater's worth of yarn, or we're gonna weave. I'm weaving a big stole out of this because a pound will get me a good stole's worth out of it. And I haven't decided yet. I have decided on my fiber that I'm going to spin. So this is my set right here. And this is what I'm gonna spin. And I can tell you, in all the times that I've done less is more and I've spun for it, I think I have 2 or 3 sweaters that have been spun, but I haven't been knit. So this is about spinning. So we're gonna spin for it, and I'm gonna weave, but this may not be the set that I weave. Like I said, I'm gonna go over 2 more things with you, and I haven't decided what they are yet. So I haven't gone through all of my hand spun yet. Sometimes the hand spun coordinates with something that you've done. So it's good to look through all of your stash. I'm talking like if you've got a bunch of hand spun stash that you haven't used, it's good to go through that and to work with the fiber. One more thing before I leave you guys while we're talking about fiber. All of these that I showed you today were all BFL. And I don't like mixing fiber too much. I think there are certain fibers that work well together because they behave similarly. And I probably should do a nice long video on how fibers behave. But you might already know this. If you've got something that is like BFL, it's a long wool, but it's the nicest of the long wools. It's pretty standard. It goes well with Falkland and Shetland and Cheviot and stuff like that. And it just sort of, it's just a wool. It just does what you ask it to do. It doesn't have any poofing, like crazy fluffing stuff going on. It doesn't kind of, you know, stick there or do anything wrong. It's not going to behave like that silk we had. A little something in my throat. So remember that silk was sort of dead. If you did that, it just sort of stayed there. This isn't going to do that. So consider just a good, nice, bouncy, standard wool. And when you work with like this, it's just a nice standard wool. It works good. And then you're going to pair it with silk. The silk's going to behave entirely differently. So those, while you're trying to work on your sections of your sweater, you want the sections to look similar. You don't want them to transition so differently. And if you're putting straight silk, like the silk we did in the last challenge, silk with this nice fluffy wool, it's just going to look completely different. So when you're working with this and trying to decide what things to use, try to think of that. Try to think of, and I'm not saying that you have to use all one breed type. What I'm saying is take a look at what you've got. If you've got something like Wensleydale, which, you know, comes out very flat and smooth and with a sheen and a halo, but it doesn't, and it's got a good drape, but it isn't poofy, and you're matching it with something like Targhee, which is super poofy and crimpy, you're going to see a very big difference in those, and not based on color, you're going to see a very big difference based on fiber. So we will talk a little bit more about that in another episode. And I'm going to talk about that kind of stuff probably forever, because I do talk about matching up stuff. And it'll help you decide when you're even looking at commercial yarns trying to pick out a sweater. I mean, if you're trying to pick out a sweater and they tell you to use alpaca, which has drape and movement but not a lot of sproing, and then you're making that sweater out of something that's poofy and sproingy, it's not going to look the same as the original sample that it did. Does that make sense? I hope so. So this is what we're working on. Dump out your stash, take a look at all the colors you've got, and just have some fun. Sometimes it's just having fun. I mean, these challenges are called the Mojo Challenge for a reason. We just need to get back into doing this stuff. And I think challenges are a great way to do that, but an even better way is sitting with your stash. Dump it all out, play with your stash, take a look at the colors, match up what you can, and talk to me about it. Message me on Instagram. I don't think you can do picture messages on YouTube. It shows how much I've played with YouTube. I haven't played much. But you can message me on Instagram. You can send me private messages. You can message me on Facebook. I'm going to put up a post on Instagram. I am going to put up a post on Facebook in my Facebook group. And we can talk about all of those things, and we'll go over all of this. I'll also post this to YouTube so that I can post all of those other things. So, play, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.